Welcome back to Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast. And we told you we want to keep sharing life experience. Kwandi, I seen your face.
Did you?
I seen your
That
face. Yeah.
that was beautiful.
Thank you.
I was like, okay, we are showing up. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. It's
I
our pleasure. It
thank
is
you.
our pleasure. While we at it, Kwandi, can you come up and introduce yourself? And since it is
Absolutely,
going to kick off that first question.
absolutely. My name is Kwandi McVey. I am, first of all, a child of God. I am definitely a daughter of the King. I'm gonna start with that because all these other things that I'm gonna say doesn't really measure up to being a child of God. I'm a belief therapist, certified belief therapist. I'm also a rejection recovery and identity restoration specialist. I am the founder of the Accepted Pathway, and I founded that after my own pain and trauma that God had to reveal to me as He walked me through healing. And so now I help people identify and recover from the hidden effects of rejection by restoring identity through biblical truth. And that is who I am. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm all those things. And I wear a lot of hats and I'm proud to do so. And I'm proud and thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm excited.
Thank you again for joining us this evening. As we do with all of our guests, we like to start off from your beginning, your kind of origin story. Tell us a little bit about how you grew up, your family structure, and if you experienced any trauma in your life in those years.
Okay, absolutely. So growing up, I would say probably from elementary school, kindergarten on up, I had a very good family structure till I was 12. That's when my parents divorced. But prior to that, yes, I did go through trauma. One of the things that I would start with, let me just say this. When I started rejection recovery, it was not because I walked around my entire life feeling rejected. Like I didn't know the word was rejected, a rejection. It wasn't until as an adult praying because I needed some relief from things that I had been experiencing and not I didn't understand it. And I asked the Lord to show me what is this? And when he showed it to me, he brought me all the way back to my childhood. He brought me all the way back to the time that I wanted to be accepted and I never felt like I fully was. And so in my childhood, at about literally kindergarten is the earliest, I experienced colorism at its finest on a playground with children who looked just like me, but I didn't fit in. And I didn't understand why. Yes, I was short. I had this big head of hair. I was dark, darker than a lot of the other kids, and I just wasn't picked to play certain sports or games with them. I can remember when God brought it back to me. One incident that stands out. I literally still remember it um, as if it was yesterday because He made it so vivid for me. And so this particular incident was as a kid on the playground, elementary school. It's when King Kong first came out, and so all the kids had these King Kong costumes and had the wigs with it. And I was born in the '70s, so it was about that time. And I can remember my mom blowing my hair out, and so I had this a lot of hair and this big head of hair with this costume on. And while every other kid looked the part, I looked like I didn't fit in. And they treated me like I didn't fit in. And so now I'm getting my hair pulled because I didn't wear a wig, it was my real hair. And I remember just going home feeling like people just didn't like me. And I was little, a child. And so I experienced bullying early. I experienced colorism very early because I was the darkest one in the class. I can remember in elementary school going home and one weekend, and over the weekend, I was just finding change and pocketing change and putting change in this little Ronald McDonald bank that McDonald's had out. And my dad was a photographer, so I had the 35 millimeter canisters. And I was just putting change in these canisters and hiding change. And so Monday morning on my way to school, my arm hit the sofa. I remember it like yesterday, and the change popped out. My mom asked me, "What are you doing with all this money, Kwandi? What are you doing? Where are you going? Why do you need so much money?" And I said, "I'm going to buy friends." So at an early age, I was going to school to buy some friends. And so that was the earliest that God brought me back to was elementary school. And because of that, as I'm working through accepted, I feel like we have to catch children while they're early. Because if we don't help children understand who they are, the world will tell them. And when the world tells them, they'll believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And when they believe it, they'll go through survival mode, as we talked about a little bit earlier, not understanding who they are, not understanding why people treat them the way they treat them, and also accepting what people do to them because they don't know who they are. So that was my early experience.
I have a quick question while we're there.
Sure.
I want to ask, did you ever tell your parents what was going on with the bullying and the colorism? You just went through it.
I did, but it wasn't in a way that I realized at the time that it was so bad, because I love people, and today I do. I love people, so I deal with stuff. I take stuff a lot. Like, I got some broad shoulders because that's how God made me, and I forgive early. Like, I've always done that. I can remember crying to my mom, asking her, "Why don't I fit in?" And my mom used to tell me, "You know why your name is Kwandi? Because it's unique." So she tried to help me with understanding you're unique. I've also heard eagles fly alone. You're an eagle. Try telling that to a child, a kid, who all they want to do is be liked, be accepted, feel like they fit in, belong. And that wasn't always that was an issue for me as a child. So yeah, I went to school to buy friends. Needless to say, I don't have any of those friends today, so it didn't work.
Now, obviously your mother was kind of pouring into you, giving you the opposite of what you were receiving outside of the house. However, normally we normally have those family members that still participate in colorism,
Yes.
family friends, just
Yes.
people in close proximity. So, with that being said, did you experience it within your family as well? What was kind of, I guess, kind of solidifying the idea that dark wasn't pretty, even though your mom was telling you otherwise? What was kind of hitting it home for you?
I actually, as I got older, not much older, I was maybe 8, and I'm gonna go into this part of the story as well when I talk about when I was molested. But my aunt, who was my favorite aunt in the whole wide world, I loved her so much, and I spent a lot of time with her. She married her high school sweetheart, so this was her second marriage, and he was very, very bright, very, very light skinned. His entire family was, and he had the light skin, pretty hair, all the things that people would consider pretty. Um, and I can remember feeling like I never fit in there either. Like, I remember trying to be friends with the kids. So now you have a blended family. You're trying to get everybody together and have these gatherings. And I can remember always feeling left out. Um, until this day, I am not. I may have one person in that family that I probably will talk to today, but yeah, the entire, and I had there were children my age. And so when the gatherings were happening, I wasn't included in the games. I wasn't included in, and so that childhood memory or that childhood experience kept shaping me that way. Like, don't fit in. Maybe because I'm dark, because that's what it looked like. Um, I had adult experiences like that. I mean, it's just colorism is such a bad way that a behavior that people use, in my opinion, to divide, to separate. Um, and it's horrible, especially when it starts in childhood. So then for me, you start believing a lie. The lie is I don't fit in because I look like this. I'm not pretty enough, or my hair is not good enough, or my hair is not long enough. I even went through it in middle school. I went to a Catholic school, and when I tell you, as you ask me that question, this is coming back to me so vividly. We used to line up in different ways. One way was obviously by height. And these are the children. This is not the teacher lining us up. These are the kids. We lined up by height. Okay, by height, I'm 4'11" and probably shorter then. So yeah, I was probably in the front of the line. We lined up by the length of hair, how long the hair was, and we lined up by color, which put me at the back of the line. So yeah, I've dealt with colorism a lot in my childhood, and like I said, sometimes even in adulthood.
Hold on. So you were in school and they lined y'all up by color?
Well, the kids did. So if imagine you're on the playground, they say line up.
Mm.
The kids. It wasn't the teachers that were doing it. It was the kids. I can remember not only that, yeah, we that's how we lined up. One day it would be by hair, and we had this girl in our class that had long hair to her, literally to her butt. And she was the favorite. Everybody loved her. She was, you know, fair skinned and long hair. This same person had a birthday party, and I'm not kidding. She had a birthday party. It was a sleepover. And her family decided to make these gift bags for all of the kids going to the sleepover. And I can remember I wasn't invited to the sleep. I was invited to the party, but I wasn't invited to the sleepover. The sleepover was after the party. But they brought these bags to school and gave them out to the girls who were going to the sleepover. And guess who the girls were? The ones who looked like the person with the long hair.
Wow.
So yeah, as we having this conversation, it's coming up like it's oh yeah, I have a lot of experiences of colorism and not being included because I look different or because I didn't look like they wanted me to look like, or I didn't look, you know what I'm saying? So it was that for me. But I tell you, I didn't walk around feeling like I'm rejected because of it. It's I did walk around like I had to have confidence in certain. My mom would not let me not have confidence. That's the other thing. Like she was strong. She would speak into me, but I've experienced things with her as well. So it just yeah, the colorism was absolutely there, and that does cause you to feel like you're not valuable.
And how long did that last? How long, what grade? Did it ever end? Or was it throughout your whole entire?
I would say it. The things I'm talking about, it was elementary school, middle school, so maybe up until the sixth grade. But that didn't stop me from being a majorette. That didn't stop me from being the captain of the majorette. Like I still did things in spite of. But even then, I was still. Oh, I got one. Let me tell you, this one is an adult. This one right here. So now I'm an adult. I have a family. I'm working. No, I don't know if I have a family yet, but I'm working in a bank. So I'm working in the bank system, and I'm a teller at the time. And I make a long story short, I love my customers and they love me. And so this one particular day, I was counting my drawdown. And as I was counting my drawdown, I was out short $2,500. That's a pack of 50s. As soon as I hit the button and saw that I was short $2,500, my commercial customer was at the door with the brown bag in his hand, bringing the money back. He brought the money back. Later on, I had a conversation with him. My manager had gone to his store after he brought the money back and asked him, why did he bring it back? And what she said was, you should have let that little black roach, is what she said, lose her job. He was livid because she did that. But guess what happened? So after she did all of that, so I'm gonna tell her at the time, the Lord has a way that he when he said he has vengeance and when he says that he will repay, I not only took in the same branch, years later, I became the assistant manager at that branch, and I also became the manager, which was both of the jobs of the people that talked about me behind my back, that customers would come to me and tell me what they were saying. So yeah, I experienced it as an adult too. And those are the words. Little black roach. But that was supposed to take my confidence. And the customer that told me was an Arab customer. When God gives you favor, he gives you favor. And what they couldn't understand was the favor that God had that was on my life. And he was protecting me. Because the same two managers, and I kid you not, I'm not saying this, I'm not saying names, but the same two managers got terminated after an investigation of stealing. Guess who was protected? I was, because God gave me both of those jobs, assistant manager and manager. So, yeah, the little black roach had favor.
See how that worked? See how that worked? Now, how did even though things usually seem to work out in your favor, normally that's something you see in retrospect. Yeah. But what was your kind of mental state around that time, or how did you actually feel about yourself around that time, and how was that affecting decision making and relationship building and all the things?
Around that time when that happened, I was devastated. I was devastated because I looked up to these two black women. One was extremely bright, light, and the other one was a little lighter. I mean, a little darker, but lighter than me. But I looked up to them. I looked up to them as strong women who were examples in the community. Like, that's what I saw. And so it devastated me when I found out this is how they felt about me. It devastated me because I was always there whenever they needed me to be there, to work extra and all these things. So it took some confidence away. In the first place, I am in a position that is 100% black. The area that we served was literally 100% black. I was in the LMI, which is low to moderate income area. And in front of me on one side of the street was extremely low income. And behind the branch was large houses, 200, 300, 500,000, $1 million houses. And those people behind us never came to the branch because the branch looked like, an all black branch. Well, when I became the manager, I changed that. I took my little black self and started walking the area behind me because that is the money that we needed to grow the branch. And guess what? I had customers that started banking with us. I turned the branch that was pretty much 100% black, a low income, and I had people come into our branch making deposits that was going to the lakefront area because that's where the money was. But because God gave me favor and I didn't let the naysayers or the people that didn't like me shape who I was professionally, that's why I was promoted in that branch, because I changed the trajectory of what the people in that area needed. So it worked out in my favor because the manager and assistant manager that were there, they weren't doing that. They liked the status quo. They liked it the way it was. Yeah. Yeah.
I want to go. Whew, well, I'm glad you made change. That's right. I want to go back because I heard you say you were molested.
I
Are
was.
you open to talking about that?
I am. Absolutely.
Um, how old were you?
It
And
started when I will say 8. That's the number I remember. That's the age I remember, 8.
was it a family member?
It was. And so that wonderful aunt, I'll tell you the story. Um, so my aunt, my mom's sister, was married. She went through a bad divorce, domestic violence. It was horrible. And after the first marriage ended, she reunited with her high school sweetheart, who was the person I just told you about that had the light skinned family. She reunited with him, and she was so happy. Um, and I was happy. I mean, I remember their wedding. They played second time around. I can remember the dresses we. I mean, I was like her favorite niece because she did not have children. She could not have children. Not only couldn't she have children, she also had cancer, so she survived breast cancer. She had to have a mastectomy, so she had one breast. And I loved her so much, and I was always at her house. Like every weekend, I was spending the night. I was there so much that I had my own room. Like she was the aunt that did everything with me. She was the domestic aunt. We cooked together, crocheted. Showed me how to macrame, all the things. She was the favorite aunt. Well, along with the favorite aunt came the husband, and the husband was the fun husband. Like all the kids loved him. Um, he had the candy all the time. He was the fun uncle. So they had the house that you wanted to be at. And it started with him literally isolating me. So how it first started was he would pull me out of the room where everyone else was. And I can remember him asking me to kiss him. The kiss was on a cheek, though. It wasn't a mouth kiss. It was, give me, kiss me. And then it was this random kiss me on the cheek. And it was just constant. And the kissing on the cheek turned to kissing on the cheek and then hand in my blouse. And that's what he started to touch me, was my breast. And it got to a point that not only was he isolating me when people were around, when I would stay at the house and stay in my room, he would come into the room and he would touch me. And he would show me nudie magazines. When I would take a bath, he would find a way to come into the bathroom. He had to get something out of the bathroom. And so this is as I'm growing, getting older. I didn't have words for it. I didn't understand it. I couldn't grasp what was happening, obviously. I can remember one time I was in the family room with some other cousins that were at the house with me. And he called me out of the family room into the kitchen. And at the time, my mom used to sew me these little dresses that had no sleeves. It was just elastic around the top and long at the bottom. And I remember the dress like it was yesterday. But anyway, he pulls me into the kitchen and he's sitting in a chair and I'm standing in front of him. And one of my cousins, who's a little younger than me, came in and asked, "What are you doing with Kwandi? Why do you keep pulling her out of the room? What are you doing?" And so he noticed there was a difference. Something's happening. And my uncle got mad, sent him back in the room, and after a while, gave us ice cream or something, and it blew over. It was so bad that I remember having dreams, and I'm telling my parents, and I'm telling my aunt about this dream that I kept having. It was a reoccurring dream about this man that was a ghost, and he was dressed in his Puritan outfit, looks like from an older time. But the person that I kept describing was my uncle, and nobody recognized it. I mean, from the height to the color skin to the hair color, and nobody recognized it. And so how I so this happened for years. I mean, it was a while. until I got to the point that I was uncomfortable. I stopped going over as much. I can remember I did have my own room, but because of the dreams, I was scared to sleep alone in the room because he would come into the room as well. But I told my aunt, and she was like, "Oh, you can sleep in the room with us." And so I would make a pallet on the side of her bed, on the floor next to her. And then eventually I chose to stop sleeping there. But I loved my aunt so much, and I missed her. And so when I realized what was happening, it was because I was watching Different Strokes. I was watching a PSA. It was about Arnold and his friend. And I think it was a friend of the dad's. But anyway, they were at the friend's house, the family friend's house. And he started doing all the things that I recognized was happening to me. He was giving them the candy. He was showing them nudie magazines. I think Arnold left and the friend stayed, and he eventually touched the friend. That's the way it came out. And as I sat there looking at it, I was by a friend's house, and I started crying. The tears just started rolling. I looked at her and I said, "That's exactly what happened to me." And she said, "What?" I said, "Yeah." I said, That's what my uncle did me. From the candy to the nudie magazines. And so she said, "We got to tell." So we ended up telling her grandmother, who's a social worker. Her grandmother sat me down, asked me all the questions. She knew what to ask. And I was very honest with her. And she took me to my mom's house. And when we got to my mom, we sat there and we started telling my mom. And my mom's original reaction was she thought I wasn't telling the truth. And the reason she thought I wasn't telling the truth was because maybe a few weeks, a month or so prior to that, she asked me. But the way she asked me, I'm like, no. She didn't ask me. I don't even remember how she asked me. Whatever she said, it wasn't registering that this wasn't the act. And I was like, no, I don't. He never. Come to find out, they knew something that I didn't know. So when I told her, she finally sat down. I answered all the questions, this and that, and then she proceeded to go to my aunt's house. I didn't go with them, but she and her other sister went to my aunt's house. Now, my aunt had heart trouble. My mom's a nurse, and her other, all three of them were nurses. But anyway, she had heart trouble. So when they sat down to tell her, what they were expecting was for her pulse to rise or some type of reaction. They was expecting that this news might give her a heart attack. So as my mom's telling her, my aunt's holding her wrist, taking a pulse. Her pulse never changed. There was no excitement, no reaction, no surprise, which told my mom and my aunt that she must have known that it was happening. While they were there, I remember being at summer school, summer camp, and I called the house. And when she answered the phone, the first thing she said was, "I've never left you in the house alone with him. I've never left you alone with him. How could you say?" Like, she did not believe me. And so it divided the family. My parents stopped talking. My mom stopped talking to her. We didn't see him for a long time. But that was the start. That was the start of molestation. I would like to say that it only happened one time with one person, but it didn't. And so because of the experience that it kept happening, like, what is wrong with me? That people who's supposed to love me, specifically male people, that I now, something must be wrong with me. What am I doing that's causing them to want to touch me? I'm a little girl growing into a young lady. I wasn't doing anything but being a young lady. I mentioned earlier that my mom and my dad were divorced. They got divorced at 12, when I was 12. And my mom, she started seeing other men, dating people and dating whatever. And we had some living men. And this one boyfriend of hers, he came right after my dad left. He decided, he had been in a few months, maybe a year. I don't know how long he was there, but I can remember I was in the 9th grade and I was into fingernails. And so I'm doing acrylic nails. I'm doing all the stuff with the nails. And I'm sitting at the table and I'm home alone. He comes in. My brothers were not there. Anyway, he comes in and I'm at the table and I have on a shirt with a tank top over it. It doesn't even matter what I had on. It was enough for him to decide he's going to put his hand in my shirt sitting at the table. And I was supposed to just take it. And so I'm now fighting. I got acrylic stuff thrown. You can smell all the chemicals from it. And I ran after he touched me. And I called my grandmother and told her what happened. And she came to get me. When she comes to get me, she calls my mom. My mom immediately said, I must have been lying. I was lying. So my grandmother takes me to her house, and what should have been a cool-off period became permanent for a while because my mom packed up all my clothes and brought them to my grandmother's house. So now I'm abandoned by my aunt who didn't believe me. Now I'm abandoned by my mom who didn't believe me. I'm living with my grandmother, which was good, but I'm no longer in my house, and I'm abruptly taken away from my house because he touched me. So when that happened, I was by my grandmother for a few months, and I have 3 younger brothers. I'm the oldest. I love my brothers so much. Like, even today, I love my brothers. And I was missing them so bad because he was also abusive to them. He didn't like them either. So I was missing them so bad. So I called my mom and asked if we could talk. So I wanted to go home. So I literally I decided I'm going to go home because I love my brothers. So my mom and I go to City Park, whatever. We sat down on the bench to talk. And I remember like it's yesterday. And she said, well, Kwandi, the reason that I don't believe you is because you've lied. You lie. You've lied in the past. Like, what? I'm in the 9th grade. What is that? I'm 14. Children lie about stuff. No, I didn't take the piece of candy. But they don't lie about that stuff. And I had to I never told her that I was lying because I wasn't. I just kept saying, I want to come home. Well, for you to come home, you have to accept him. Okay. All right. That's what I got to do. Then I want to come home. So I bit the bullet and I went home because I love my brothers. After going home, he never tried anything with me again. But he would do things like try to look. So we had these little shutters on the bathroom door, which makes no sense to me as an adult. I'm thinking about why we would have a bathroom door with shutters on it. And I would see him trying to peek through the shutters sometimes. So I had to fix that. Okay, so now I have to put a towel up. Like, I did things to correct the situation because I wanted to be at home with my brothers. The way he got out was because he started to beat her. So then she went through domestic violence with him, and he was cheating and all the things that a bad human would do when a bad human is a bad human. Those are the things he was doing. So it wasn't just me. He wasn't a good person. So I went through that. And now I'm gonna tell another. So the next one is my cousin. So my cousin, and I'm not quite sure. I am sure. I'm sure that this, and I didn't do it in order because I was younger than 9th grade when this happened. But my cousin, same thing. I can remember we had twin beds in the house, and we had a sleepover for whatever reason. All the cousins were at the house, and my older cousin, who's 5 years older than me, decided he was going to do the same thing. Well, he was trying even further because he was trying to pull my pants down, or my underwear and all down, and I was crying, and I was crying so loudly that my mom came in the room, and she kept telling me to get up. When I got up, I didn't have my bottoms on. What was the matter? What happened? I told her what happened. What did you do to cause him to want to touch you? What did you do? So rather than her protecting me, she basically gave us sexual education classes because she's a nurse. So we had the whiteboard, and she's drawing this and that and all. There was never any help for me. There was never any. He was like, just get over it. I had to get over the first thing, that thing, the next thing. And with each thing came some type of abandonment. So my aunt, who was my cousin's mom, didn't believe me. I had to suck it up. There was never any therapy for me. Go talk to somebody. Maybe this is. Mm-mm. So yeah, that followed me. Followed me to a place of something must be wrong with you that this keeps happening. What are you doing? Because that was the question. What are you doing that this keeps happening?
Sheesh. What in the world? That's really hard to swallow. And it would seem such a tight time frame. Like you said, you just every time you turn it around, it's something else you got to heal from.
But I like what was it called? Blackout trauma.
Hmm.
So what I will say is,
Yep, that's my thing.
You-
I tell people. People look at me like I'm crazy.
it's a thing because I didn't walk around
Mm-hmm.
with that. Oh my gosh, I'm a victim, and I didn't walk around like that. I literally, matter of fact, up until a few years ago, I was like, God, I don't have a testimony. People talk about your testimony. What is my testimony? I had a squeaky clean life, which I didn't, because I pushed it all down. It was like, shh. And it wasn't pushed down in a way that, oh my gosh, I can't let this get out because it was pushed down because I didn't think about it. Like it did not frame that part of my life, although I felt like something was wrong with me. If that, something is wrong with me, something is off. I never felt like I was ever enough. I never felt like I was seen, like I was chosen, like I was loved. I never felt validated. Let me bring it even further home. When my aunt, the one who I told you her husband molested me when I was younger. We didn't talk for years and years. And we finally met up at a funeral. And at the funeral, we all connected as a family again. And so I had an opportunity to spend time with her as an adult. And so now I'm with my, then it was my boyfriend, but it was my first husband. And they all accept. I mean, it was good. I was with my aunt again, and I was an adult, so I didn't worry about if he was going to touch me, because that was the furthest thing from my mind, because I forgave him, because I didn't think about it anymore. Like I was not walking around holding him hostage or holding myself hostage. But on her deathbed, she got cancer again. And we were all at the hospital. We all went to see as a family, all, praying around the bed and singing and all. And everybody walked up to the bed to give her a kiss and tell them whatever they said. And when I walked up to the bed, I kissed her and I told her how much I loved her. Her response to me was love, and she used his name. And that devastated me. I was like, you were still protecting him? You telling me to love him? You never even acknowledged. Like, I never even asked you to. You never even talked to me about, but you're telling me to love him? Like, you're dying. And this is the last thing that was the last thing she said to me. This is the last thing you said to me? And I walked out of that room and I was in tears because I couldn't believe my favorite aunt, who I love so much, the very last thing she said to me was love him. It wasn't until years later I was praying about it and I was asking God to show me, because it hurt. I carried that for a while. And what I got so clearly was, she couldn't tell you forgive him, because if she would have said forgive him, that would have meant that she acknowledged that he did. She said love him, because if you love him, you won't hold him. Which she didn't understand, that I wasn't in pain about it at that time. The pain that was caused at that time was what she said to me. But guess what? I got a chance to be around him after she passed, and we had a family gathering, and I forgave him. I already had forgiven him. But I can't be a child of God and know that he calls us to forgive and not do it. So I wasn't walking around feeling like a victim. Oh, my uncle did this. I never did. And I thank God for that. The reason I thank God for that was because while it was trauma, it did shape a lot of my decisions. It did. It did make me a person who was a people pleaser because I didn't want to lose people. It did make me a person who was an overthinker because I always walked away from a conversation thinking, oh my gosh, did I say something wrong? Are they going to be, upset? Are they going to leave? I literally walked away as a people pleaser. I had a fear of abandonment. I stayed in relationships too long, holding on to it because I didn't want them to leave, even when they weren't good for me. I literally left. So my mom, I'm gonna go back to my mom, and I love her. I love her dearly. We have a beautiful relationship today. But I can remember my mom wanted me to be someone that I didn't know who I was. She used to always ask me, who are you, Kwandi? Who is Kwandi? I don't know. I didn't know who I was at the time. But she disciplined me very well. And in her disciplining me, I hated being there. I hated it. And today people will probably call the discipline abuse, child abuse, the way the disciplines happen. But in those days, the discipline was because I don't want you to go the wrong way. I don't want you to become this, that, or the other. I don't want you to. But what I was doing was hardening up. You mentioned running away. I ran away a lot. I ran away. I mean, because I was accused of things that I didn't do. It was just a lot.
I'm sorry. I just want to cut in and ask a question. Yeah. Most of this is generally happening young. Mm-hmm. As you're coming into, consciousness about certain things, certain requirements of certain people, was it ever, just excuse my language, but like a brain fuck to know that your aunts and your mother are literally, I assume what should be a mandated reporter, at their place of work that they've been for many years now, and cannot seem to understand the patterns and listen to somebody that literally they have a direct line to. Did it ever, come to mind about that fact, seeing them help other people day in and day out and you kind of just suffering under their care? if you ever thought about that, what, did that do for you? What did that do to you?
It's just so fun that you're asking that question. It's amazing. My mom, my mom was a nurse. She was also a nurse at a methadone clinic. So that meant she was at a place where she was not only helping, she was assisting drug people that was on methadone, people that were heroin users, assisting them with the medicine they needed to sustain their life. She was always in the service industry. It never occurred to me, why isn't she helping me in that regard? But I've always seen her help other people. And don't get me wrong, we have a great relationship today. But I think the pattern from my mom was because she could tell me things that her mom did to her, trying to discipline her. And the things that she would say that her mom did to her were more egregious than the things that she was doing to me. So I don't know. Dysfunction, parenting, parents that with possible trauma, raising their children in trauma, creating more trauma. That was happening. I will say my mom did take me to the police station after my uncle molested me. She did. We did all the things. They had all the questions. They went to his house. They checked his. I told them exactly where the nudie magazines were. Everything I said, they found it. What they did say was, oh, because of the statute of limitations, oh, it was such a long time since the last act that they didn't do anything. And my aunt also said she never left us alone. So that was trying to get some justice, but justice never happened. So I hope, did that answer your question? Yeah. My mom even had a youth program. It was called Youth Alternatives to Alcohol and Drug Abuse. She was helping kids.
Now I want to ask really quick, because one of the things that I use is childhood traumas affect adult decisions.
It does, yes.
How did your childhood traumas affect your adult decisions?
I married the wrong first person. I say first because I've been married 3 times. It also ran me into a narcissist. I'm using that word and I'm not using it loosely. A lot of people use it loosely, but I was married to a narcissist. That was my second husband. I'm finally in my forever marriage with my husband today. But yeah, the decisions of the childhood trauma made me feel like I was never seen, never validated, never loved. When I met my first husband, I kid you not, my first husband, the very first date, not second, not months later, the very first date, he showed me who he was. The handwriting was written on the wall. He had no integrity. And I suffered with that throughout the entire marriage. The reason I married my husband was because he gave me an outlet, out of my mama's house, basically, for lack of a better word. He saw me and it gave me an out. And so I literally ran into my husband, my first husband, running, and I was in survival mode. And I know this is why I talk about false identity and how rejection creates this identity that is not ours, that God did not create for us. I would not have made that decision to marry him if I didn't see him as an alternative from what I was already dealing with. I ran straight into him, and his parents were very open and okay with me staying over there and spending nights. And I was 17, I think, at the time. That's when we started dating. But yeah, the first date, no integrity throughout the marriage. I had no trust. It caused me not to have, I had trust issues. And then on top of that, he was a cop. I became a cop. But a whole lot of integrity issues. And he wasn't a bad cop. It was bad for the marriage, though, if you will. And for that reason, still didn't feel seen. I have 3 beautiful children who I love dearly. But yeah, that decision to marry my first husband, I would not have made that decision had I not been in survival mode, trying to run. I was running from my mother's house, basically.
When did the idea come about, to start the accepted pathway? Was there like a, light bulb moment, or was there, a significant situation, or, how did that all come to you? How did you kind of make it happen?
Um, can I answer? Can I? I told you about my first husband. Let me just tell you about the second one, because that's really the pivotal moment for me. So after my first divorce, I literally ran into a narcissist. You know, narcissists are not good people when you're on a rebound. I didn't think I was on a rebound, but they love bomb you so bad, and they see you and you become everything. They put you on this pedestal, and that's what happened to me. The love bombing was just amazing. And so for a year and 9 months, because we were only married for 9 months before the final discard, but a year and 9 months, um, it was a constant battle, on and off, because they love bomb you, then they devalue you, then they discard you, and they keep doing it. Well, because I was dealing with my abandonment issues and my people pleasing issues and my constant need for validation issues, I kept trying to make it work. So I said I stayed in relationships too long. I shouldn't even got in it, but I stayed in it too long. And so running into the narcissist, he drained. When they talk about the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy, no, the narcissist comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And that's what he did for me. He drained me emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally, all of it, all the things. My 25-year career with the bank had ended, because they eliminated my position. It opened up my retirement and all of my money. And I went into business with a narcissist because we were doing the power couple thing. We had ministry together. Like, we literally had we opened a coffee shop in 2 cities, 2 small towns, had people coming. It was amazing. And I thought that was my purpose because I love people. I didn't like coffee. I didn't even drink coffee. But the community part was just amazing for me. And I thought that's what my purpose was. So when he left, when the money left, he left, pretty much took everything. I lost the sense of not just of who I thought I was, because that's when I thought I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. But what I did was let down guards that I didn't have up because I had no boundaries. When you are a people pleaser, when you are, fear abandonment, when you go through, you don't have boundaries. I didn't know what that. I had to learn from that moment of being with how to set boundaries. So I went through this process for 4 years of being by myself, 4 or 5 years of trying to discover who I was. God restored, God healed, but there was still something lingering. There was still something lurking in the background, and I didn't understand why. I was still not good enough. And then I can remember asking God, what is my purpose? I started businesses. I'm very smart. I'm a business person. I know what but I didn't have the confidence. I couldn't show up for myself. Although I showed up 25 years in the bank, living under these same beliefs. I did do that, but I didn't have confidence. And I can remember, because Accepted has only been a little bit over a year that I started it, because God brought me on this journey. Here was my pivotal moment. I was trying to find out what I was supposed to be doing. I'm on TikTok, and this is a true story. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're selling digital products, $30,000 a month and all of this stuff. And I can't sell digital products. So I started purchasing all these digital products. And on TikTok, you got to go live. Like, you got to start talking to people. You got to show yourself. And every time I turned that camera on and put it in front of me, I was like, oh my gosh, you're not even pretty. Nobody's going to listen to you. Nobody's going to want to look at you on a camera. I had no confidence. And it brought on an oppression that was so heavy. It was heavy. And I could remember, why am I depressed? Why do I have this oppression? What is happening? That caused me to go on a journey. Before this journey, a gentleman asked me, because I was trying to do these digital products, tell me about yourself. And when I started talking to him, it was from a place of rejection. It was like I didn't like myself. And he said it. He was like, it sounds like you really need to check your faith. It's like, I have faith. Mind you, I've been a licensed minister. I have faith. I believe in God. I believe God. No, check it. And I hung up that call with him, and I was like, God, what's wrong with me? And then I sat down and I really started to evaluate. I said, God, I want you to show me what it started. Where did this feeling of rejection start? He brought me back to that childhood experience in the playground. He brought me back to the molestation. He brought me back to all of those things. And I sat down and I had to acknowledge it all. Like the pain. I allowed the pain to come back. I allowed myself to sit in it so that it can go away. So when I acknowledged the pain, I started to confront the lies that came with the pain. The you're not enough. You're not good enough. Nobody loves you. People leave you all the time. You cause people to leave. All those things, the negative self-talk, all the things that was subconsciously playing, ruminating in my mind. I sat through that. And then I started searching the truth in God's word. Who do you say I am? And then he brought me to Jeremiah 1:5. He said, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And when I understood that scripture this time, he said, before anybody touched you, before people walked out on you, before the children didn't see you, didn't want to play with, I formed you. That means I know you. He said, I chose you and I've called you. And that's when it started changing for me. Because if my Heavenly Father could tell me he chose me before any of that stuff happened, that means I'm somebody. It didn't matter who walked out at that point. It didn't matter if somebody touched me, but what he did say was, everything you've been through, Kwandi, everything you've been through, I'm going to use it. Because you're going to tell it. And you're going to help people break free who don't even know that they're in captivity, because I didn't know. I made decisions from a survival place, from a false identity. Because if I'd have known what God knew and said about me when I was a child, there was a lot of pain that I wouldn't have went through. So that's when I started this journey. He didn't just sit me down. He set me on this pathway that I know healed me. And then he gave me a tagline. When he said it, I was like, the tagline is healing the heart of rejection, healing the heart. I was like, God, most people talk about a wound. A wound can, if it don't have if it's not a scar, it's not healed. If it's still a wound, it means it could be opened at any time, triggered. He said, no, you're going to talk about the heart, because then he gave me Proverbs 4:23. He says, out of the heart flows the issues of life. Well, if your heart is not healed, what else comes out of the heart? Your beliefs. The things you believe comes out of your heart. A lot of people think it's your mind. In the Bible, mind and heart are interchangeable. He said, no, the heart needs to be healed. He says, the heart is wicked. Who can know it? Only God. He said, God sees the heart. Man sees outside. He brought me to heart work. I said, God, why rejection recovery? Well, don't people who have alcoholism go through recovery? Alcoholism recovery? I said, why the word recovery? Recovery is because it's not instantaneously. I went through deliverance lines. I got up. I went through them. I got knocked out. I did all the things. I prayed. People told me, no, it's you just get over it. If you believe God and you have faith, you shouldn't feel rejected. What in the world? God should have just healed you instantaneously. How many times in the Bible did Jesus not heal people instantaneously? They went through a process, or he told them go do something. That's why this pathway was born. He said, and guess what? I named it at first, it was a framework. But when I sat down, God said, no, it's not a framework, it's a pathway. It is a journey to healing. That's what this is. And you know how I know it works? Because he did it with me. I'm not giving you theory because I'm a belief therapist. It actually worked with me. It healed me. It healed my heart. And there's so many people. The reason I said, look, at first I was like, God, I'm posting on Facebook. I'm posting. He said, I never called you to a platform. A few weeks ago, God told me so clear. He said, use your voice. Stop posting graphics. Use your voice. And guess what started happening? Podcast invitations. Because he said, use your voice. And I said, okay.
You got to use your voice. You have to use your voice. We actually went over time. So
we did.
We had time. Yes, that was a fast hour. It was. It was.
And I have so much more to say.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk. It might be come back. I want to say my closeout is, what advice would you give someone from your personal life experience? Because we're not psychologists, we're not therapists, but from your life experience of going through childhood molestation, not your feelings not being validated, no one listening to you, bullying, colorism. What advice would you give a little girl that has went through what you have went through, so that they can start their journey to healing? Because a lot of them are adults now and they're struggling.
The first thing is, you've got to acknowledge the pain. They're struggling because we keep trying to push it down. It happened. Whatever that thing is, acknowledge it. Let it come up. Let it come up in a healthy way. If you got to get a therapist, get one. If you got to get a best friend that understands and can listen, that you can let it come up, get one. If you got to find a place of refuge, get it. Get the help you need. Don't let it continue. The voice. Here's one thing that was profound for me. The voice that I kept hearing was not what someone else was telling me. It was my own voice in my own head. So it sounds true. Start to separate the lie from the truth. The lie is what's keeping you bound. It's keeping you in captivity. It's keeping you under the submission of the enemy in regard, because you cannot be the person God created you to be if you don't know who you really are. And if you're in survival mode, guess what? You're living in a false, distorted identity that was never God's intention for you all your life. I know, because I did it for years. Yes, I was successful on the outside. I had it going on. But in the inside, I was crying and drowning. I didn't know why. Until God revealed it. And then he healed it. But he healed it after I got real about it. Stop hiding it. Because you also have a story. And your story is also for someone else. And your purpose is who God intended for you to be. I want to say this too, because he showed me what's the cost. What is the cost of living in survival mode? What is the cost of living under a false identity? The cost is everything. Because when you leave this world, when you leave this earth, there's nothing you can take with you. And you're burying treasure that you don't even know you have. Because you don't know who you are.
Definitely wise words. Thank you so much again for being here with us this evening. We do want to give you a chance to participate in what we like to call shameless plug. You see all of your information scrolling across the bottom here. If you can let our viewers know that if maybe they resonated with any part of your story, how you would prefer them to reach out, give them the details on your business, how they can utilize your services, anything that you want to advocate for or draw traffic to, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you. I would ask, I really invite, if this resonated with anyone who is trying to understand or trying to figure out if they do have the hidden effects of rejection, to go and take, I have a complimentary assessment on the Accepted Resource Center. Go and take the assessment. Be real with yourself, answer the questions truly. And it's really easy. It's only 20 questions, but it will help you to identify, and it's scored. So it gives you a score and it lets you know based on your score where you fall in terms of rejection. With that, I also offer a complimentary call that you, once you take the assessment, it comes to me, you get the results, and let's jump on a call. And it's complimentary. I'm not asking for you to pay for anything, because my goal, I want to see people healed. I want to see people healed. And so that's the first step. Go take the assessment. And then after that, I have other ways that we can work together if that's what you want to do. But at the end of the day, let's find out if there's some hidden rejection lurking. I call it lurking in the background. So that's the first place, is just go take the assessment. I am on all social media platforms. I'm about to start really working on TikTok, and because that's where I can use my voice even more prevalent. Guess what? I can turn the camera on now. I'm looking at myself now and I'm beautiful. So yeah, that didn't work. But yeah, go take the assessment. I'm on Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn. I am looking to collaborate as well. I do work in reentry to help, because identity restoration is so key in so many different areas: domestic violence areas, reentry areas, children. I have accepted kids because I want to help those kids understand who they are before the devil tells them. And so that's another leg that I'm working. I have a full ecosystem, because what God showed me was rejection touches so many areas. But if we can get to those babies first, we can help them. It's all worth it. So that's my plug.
Okay. Hold here before we close out. We want to thank you for being a guest on Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast, where we're going to continue to share life experiences in hopes that someone will connect and start their journey to healing. This is a resource base. Kid, see it. We're going to keep sharing. Ain't that right?
That's right.
Please follow us on all social media platforms. Most importantly, please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube. Follow us on TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast. And if you have a heart or courtesy, this was expanded due to the nonprofit organization, The Good Fight, to help us with youth, men, women, and women, but specifically our youth. You can go on the website at www.thegoodfight.org. There's an E on the end of good. There's multiple ways to support our nonprofit. So please come and get involved, because healing is important, and a lot of people, we can change the negativity into positivity if we just start with ourselves. So tune in each and every Monday at 8 p.m. and we'll see you soon. Peace. Stay on, Kwandi.